Hello, everyone. This is Gwendolyn. Hi, stars. Thanks for checking in today. Today's Friday the 13th, and there's a lot of superstition that surrounds this day. So I just wanted to look into it and do a little research on why people are so superstitious about Friday the 13th and what it is about this day that people kind of are wary of. And it turns out that 18 to 21 million people are superstitious about this day. There was a study that looked into that, and primarily it's just an American and British phenomenon. Other places like Italy actually consider the number 13 to be lucky. So it's mostly American and British, and it seems to revolve around a couple different things. There's a real possibility that the origins of this came with the belief that Jesus was crucified on Friday the 13th, that Good Friday was the 13th, and also that there were 13 disciples around the Last Supper before he was killed. And some people say that Judas was actually in the 13th seat, and he was the one who betrayed Jesus. So that's a likely start of it. But it turns out that it wasn't actually considered such a superstitious day until about the 19th or 20th century. And that's when it really started to gain momentum, that this was an unlucky day. In 1907, there was a book published by a stockbroker named Lawson, and he actually published a book called Friday the 13th, which was about a guy who tried to crash the stock market on Wall Street, and that was a bestseller book. So not only was it best-selling, but they also made a movie of it in 1916. So that helped to popularize the belief that 13 is an unlucky number, and Friday the 13th in particular is, a scary, unlucky day. In fact, some people won't stay in number 13 rooms. Many buildings are built that skip from the 12th floor to the 14th floor. They skip floor 13 because so many people are superstitious about this. And there are many people who just avoid Friday the 13th. They think they're going to get in car accidents. But it's really just a superstition. Some people associate like black cats with it. And part of that too is that many people considered witches associated with the number 13 because normally 12 is how many months that the calendar is divided into in the Gregorian calendar. That's what we see in our modern day calendar. But in the lunar calendar, there's 13 moons. And so that's where we actually get our months from, is the cycle of the moon. It's usually about 28 days. And originally that's how the months were thought of, as the cycle of the moons. However, calendars at different times and different cultures have measured time differently. So it was considered a witch's calendar to have 13 months or 13 moons in a year, whereas in the standard calendar it was 12. And that kind of echoes the Christian belief of 12 disciples plus Jesus, which is 13. Again, that unlucky number shows up again. Or, if you think of a natural set of things, often it's 12, like even a dozen eggs, and 13 is considered like the baker's dozen. When we look at something as a full set, it's considered 12, and then adding one more transcends the set, or it breaks up the set. So 13 is just kind of an interesting number, and with the 13 moons associated with a witch's calendar, there's the black cat association as well, and some people even associate it with Halloween. So there's a lot of interesting folklore around it, and even towards the middle of the 20th century, in 1955, it was published, an assertion was published that it might have something to do with Friday the 13th in 1307, when hundreds of Knights Templar were rounded up and burned and killed. So that's another association that was made, but that hasn't actually happened. That was just asserted in the middle of the 20th century, so 1955-ish. So it's really been gaining momentum in the US, especially since the publication of that Friday the 13th book in 1906, and then in 55, when it was connected to the date Friday the 13th in the 1300s. So there's a lot of religious beliefs that consider it an unlucky day for that reason, and just the popular superstition helps to keep that momentum of that superstition of the day going. So if you want to do some more research on Friday the 13th, there's actually a name for the fear of 13 and the fear of Friday the 13th, because so many people have it, but some people consider it really positive and lucky. For example, Taylor Swift, 13 is one of her favorite numbers. She was born on the 13th, and she turned 13 on Friday the 13th, and she considers that a very lucky number. So it's really not lucky or unlucky, but as always, our beliefs about something will shape the way that we think about it. And if you want to do more research on it, there's some more info out there, but I just thought I would do a quick overview of how it got started and how it gained momentum, and some possible causes that people have put out there over the years. So that's my video on Friday the 13th. I wish you a very lucky day, and as always, thanks for watching. Yours in the stars.